I think it sometimes feels like a very big, question. Like there's so many issues. Like what should I tackle? Where should I start? And just looking at kind of my experience with African feminists, I'd say find something that's at the intersection of like what really makes you angry and what you're good at, and just start there. It could be a blog, it could be a song. Like there's just so many ways that you can engage with different issues. It doesn't have to look the same as someone else's, the way someone else engages with things. And I also think that another thing, kind of being as curious as possible and pulling out from different sources, expanding what you're currently exposing yourself to, because ideas and light bulb moments come from different arrays of life, and you never know what could actually spark that idea for you to, whether it's for you to start a foundation or for an article or, your next career move that can be impact driven. You just never know. So just be open to that. And it doesn't have to be big.
Welcome to the podcast, Tobi.
Thank you for having me.
It's really lovely to have you. We met last year at the Next Gen convening in London, and you have since become a member of the network. And back then, you started talking about your family, how your family is involved in philanthropy, and it's clear that you are from a family that is deeply rooted in philanthropy. Can you share with us how coming from such a family has shaped you to who you are today and your approach to social impact? And also point to some examples or experiences that are notable in growing up that got you to the point that felt, this is something I really want to give my time to.
Definitely. I think my parents were very deliberate in how they raised us. It was very much a community is more than just your nuclear family, and you have to do something to help people always. That was something that was just modeled by their behavior, and something that my siblings and I just followed through with as years went by. And I think just generally, not to oversimplify or actually say that African people are a monolith, but I do think that culturally we are very communal, and the idea of helping one another is very ingrained in us. In terms of a memory that kind of sticks with me, I'd say the first time I really was consciously aware of kind of inequality I was probably between the ages of 5 and 7, and it's just driving to school and noticing, that there are kids that are on the side of the road, and you're thinking like, I was thinking at the time like, why aren't they in school? And I don't think it's ever a conversation I had with anyone, but then just I started noticing those patterns from then on, and it was very clear to me that, this should not be normal, that we should do something about this. Somebody needs to do something about this. And then from there, I was just like, anything I can do for impact, I would do. And I think that's why I'm very much, my life has always been about like, even career-wise, always to do with sustainability or development and in those realms, just because I feel like whatever you can do to impact and to help people is what you should do.
Right. So you have very strong views, and you're an advocate early on in life. And well, I would say early on in life because it was much earlier than it is now. You found your voice even through writing, and you launched the African Feminist because we were just frustrated about how African stories, whether they were political or social or feminist, how they were being portrayed in the Western media. What did you think you would achieve through that platform, and how did engagement on the platform shape your approach to finding the right voices, who is heard, who is elevated in conversations?
So when I started, I think I started it when I was 19. It was very much, yes, that frustration of, I'm tired of, the poverty, the war. And yes, that is a part of, this history of many countries across Africa, but it's not the only story that needs to be told. I think at the time, I also realized that the only thing I actually knew about even Nigerian history was very basic. My knowledge was kind of transatlantic slave trade, colonialism, and then, independence happened and countries are trying to develop. And at that, I then realized that actually there's so much more here. There's so much culture, there's so much history, there's so much knowledge that has been maybe that is being lost in terms of how we view ourselves and what we know of the continent we come from. So I started it very much to educate myself and then to just share with people. I knew I could write. I really love reading. So it was a thing of like, what I'm learning, I might as well write and just make it public for people. So it started off as that. And then as time went along, people started asking me like, oh, can I write an article? And it would be from friends to strangers. And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, go ahead. I'll post it, maybe make edits here and there, but share your perspective. Because I think there's it being just an outlet for me limits what I can then share with other people, because there might be things that pique just my interest. Other people might have, a perspective that I haven't even thought about. So I really want to make it an open space for people to come and just share their thoughts through different mediums. It doesn't have to be an article. It can be a poem. It could be prose. It can be a song, like whatever, because I believe you can transmit, knowledge and information through various forms. So that's really what started it for me. And I will say I have not written in a while, but I do plan on changing that this year.
Yeah, you said so much and I'm already excited and I want to go to that platform to read more. So I'm looking forward to having you back on that platform. Now, you are also involved in Project H.A.L.O, which you co-manage with your parents. It's a family foundation. We're curious to know, what's it like as a next gener working with your parents? Do you typically agree on issues, or do you sometimes have tensions? Are you very divergent in what should be done? And what would you say, just generally, as a next gener and working with an older generation, how does that feel? And what have you learned over time?
Project H.A.L.O was started by my mom. She wanted a structured way for us to kind of pull together the kind of donations, the giving that my parents had been doing for years, and just be like, okay, let's have something that can be more consistent and also self-sustaining. So right now, like the major programming that we have is a scholarship program. We started it in the UK and was catered towards Black children who were going into university and provided them with scholarships. And these scholarships are very much to help with kind of housing, making sure that you don't have to have a job alongside uni and you can really focus on your studies and skills. And the way their idea with that was, let's make it an extension of our family, because that's very much how my parents are. So we meet with the scholars on an annual basis. We have a group chat. We also have a mentoring network. So within we assess people within our network, and if there's anything that the scholars need in terms of, like somebody that's working in a field they want to go into, we match make in that way.
Right.
But in terms of working with my parents, it's been very, very seamless. I think, they're very open to new ideas and to hearing us out and hearing what we're interested in, the ways we want to engage. My mom has been on a whole rampage about how we need to do more and figure out what's next. So I was actually telling both my parents the other day that something that I'm really interested in is clean cooking, because it's the fifth largest cause of death for the African woman. And it's something that, I'm engaged with through work. I work for an organization called Sustainable Energy for All, and we're really an organization focused on energy access and the energy transition. We have a global mandate, but we really focus on emerging economies and developing economies. And as part of work, we have a clean cooking pilot in Iporin market, actually, where we've been rolling out e-cook stoves that are solar powered with solar plus storage for women who cook for a living in the market, and just seeing the way that their lives have changed just by that easy swap of technology, just in terms of like they're not inhaling the fumes. They can work for longer because they have access to, the constant power, reliable power. Yeah. So that's something that I want to figure out how Project H.A.L.O can be more engaged in, because it's something it's a cause that's near and dear to me. So that's something I'm kind of floating the idea with them. But working with my parents has been very seamless when it comes to Project H.A.L.O. I think it's mainly most of my time, my mom being like, you guys need to do more and figure out what we're doing next. But
moving this forward, I would want to hear from you, being an African who is also in the diaspora and you're engaged in international conversations. What role do you think storytelling and digital platforms can play in ensuring that African issues and African solutions are globally understood?
I think we're blessed with the fact that technology exists and we can have a wider reach in terms of who gets to hear the story and also who gets to tell the story. Especially when you're in the diaspora, you're not necessarily on ground and you might not necessarily know where to go or like the nitty-gritties of things. Being able to have people who are on ground have a voice, have a platform on the internet, whether it's through social media, Substack, blogs, whatever, TikTok, and can explain what's happening as a way and a means for you to connect with kind of your shared history, culture. I think that has been amazing. I think one thing that I would say is the need for us to be aware that as we're trying to kind of summarize things to make them more digestible for people, making sure we don't dumb things down and lose complexity and nuances in all the different types of stories that are being told. Oh, I also think one of the perks of kind of social media and digital platforms is the fact that you can actually, beyond just telling the story, you can actually connect the diaspora to initiatives on ground. So you might not necessarily have, any idea of how you can engage, but there is a quick Google search, there can be an initiative or something that you can easily tap into, which I think is a fantastic means for diaspora to engage and vice versa, even just an exchange of knowledge, ideas. I think technology has really opened things up, and with more platforming, I'm just hoping that more stories get told and that we get a larger reach and more people actually engaged and willing to help.
Right. Speaking about diaspora connecting with issues back home, you were at the London Next Gen convening, which we had last year. I mentioned that as I introduced you at the beginning of this podcast. How was engaging with that community for you? And what stood out for you in the room as we had those incredible conversations?
That was very, very fun, actually. I didn't know what to expect going in. I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. But being able to be in a room with people who have, different jobs, different ideas of what issues are top of mind for them, actually get together and discuss like, okay, what does next generation philanthropy look like? What can it look like? And especially being a room filled with, mostly Black people, that I've never had that, especially in the philanthropic space before. And that was very exciting for me. And so, just being able to kind of hear about I remember we had this exercise where we had to come up with the top 3 top issues. I remember on our table, it was just going back and forth, no, this one has to be higher, this one we need this. And just hearing the different reasons to why someone thought a particular issue should be ranked higher than another, that was really interesting for me. Because there were some things on there I was like, oh, I never even thought about this as part of my top 3. I thought, okay, yes, I have a top 3, I'm ready. I said them and it's no, actually, we should consider this and this. So actually being able to exchange is important.
I'm so thrilled to hear there was that much debate at your table, and that goes to show how important it is for us to actually come together to think through what we really should be focusing on, because sometimes what you think are the biggest issues may really not be the biggest issues, and we're looking forward to engaging with the community even more. You're already more engaged, and we're excited about what is to come as a result of that meeting. And so as we round up, what would you say you're looking to in the future? What do you hope to see, not just in the causes that are important to you, but as a next-gen philanthropist, what are your vision, or what is your vision, or what are your goals for the future? And you have a specific interest in women. What advice would you have for women who are looking to go into advocacy or philanthropy, who don't understand how to play in this field at this time? You grew up in a philanthropic family. You found your footing early enough, even though it wasn't like you weren't formally involved as a child. It was just by just being in that environment and understanding how giving happens. But over time, you've put more structure to how things are being done. So for young people that are still, haven't had that exposure, what would you say to them? It's a lot of questions in one big question, but it would be great to hear your thoughts.
I think for the first part, what I'm looking forward to is, I'd say one, kind of moving away from, oh, how much can we give, or how many initiatives can we have, to actually also trying to sit down and think as philanthropists, how do we actually address the systemic issues that are leading to these problems? So thinking of it like beyond just, oh, here, let's build a school and, equip it, but actually, okay, making sure that the school and the community has access to energy, for example. Like, how do we actually go beyond, I guess, going a step further to make sure that we're actually creating communities and systems that are self-sustaining. And then very much looking forward to a place where, I feel like as Africans that we're heard and we're also at the forefront of our development, and really, and that a lot of like the knowledge systems that we have and a lot of the innovation that's happening on continent is also platformed and celebrated and seen as, first movers where we are. And then I would say in terms of advice, I think it sometimes feels like a very big, question, like there's so many issues, like what should I tackle? Where should I start? And just looking at kind of my experience with African Feminists, I'd say find something that's at the intersection of like what really makes you angry and what you're good at, and just start there. It could be a blog, it could be a song. Like there's just so many ways that you can engage with different issues. It doesn't have to look the same as someone else's, the way someone else engages with things. And I also think that another thing, kind of being as curious as possible and pulling out from different sources, expanding what you're currently exposing yourself to, because ideas and light bulb moments come from different arrays of life, and you never know what could actually spark that idea for you to, whether it's for you to start a foundation or for an article or, your next career move that can be impact driven. You just never know. So just be open to that. And it doesn't have to be big. I think every little helps. And I don't think we need to put pressure on ourselves to just do everything all at once, and just start in small steps and go. And there's so many different philanthropies and organizations and initiatives that already exist. Reach out to someone and be like, oh, can you volunteer your time? You'd love to learn more about what they do, and go through that route. That's what I would give as advice.
That's very good advice. I liked everything you spoke to. Finding what's at the intersection of what makes you angry and what you're good at. Light bulb moments. Doesn't have to be big. I think you have your next blog. So you have an assignment. You have to go right back, watch the space. Thank you so much, Tobi. We're going to wrap this up with rapid fire questions to learn more about you. And so, are you ready?
I think.
All right. So, are you an early bird or night owl?
Oh, I'm a very early bird. I'm asleep by 10.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right. And you wake up at?
Between 4:30 and 5.
Okay, very early. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
Okay. Deep focus or multitasking?
I multitask. I don't think I'm actually very good at it. Probably should do more deep focused work.
Okay.
But yeah. That's my
Right.
notes to self.
Okay, to-do list or calendar blocking?
To-do list.
Silence or background music while you work?
Oh, I think it depends. It depends. But if it's music, it has to be classical or brown noise on YouTube. You know, like those like 10-hour, and you just put that on, or silence.
Okay, all right. Books or podcasts?
At the moment, podcasts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Morning workouts or evening workout?
Morning. If it's not in the morning, I'm not doing it.
Impact or influence?
Impact.
Right. Thank you very much, Tobi. This has been fun and informative and impactful. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you for having me.